Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me closely. There's a force out there, dark, calculating, and relentless. I'm not talking about fiction. No, I'm talking about real life. Sometimes these forces don't come in masks or cloaks. They come in smiles, handshakes, and polite words. But make no mistake, evil has its tells, and if you're paying attention, you'll see the signs. Manipulation is their weapon of choice. It's a tool they use to bend reality, distort perceptions, and ultimately gain control over the people around them. A manipulative person doesn't just tell lies, they craft them like an artist paints on a canvas. Their lies are detailed, layered, and designed to draw you in, to make you believe that their version of the truth is the only version that matters. They'll look you in the eye with confidence, deliver their story with conviction, and make you feel foolish for even questioning their motives. But it doesn't stop there. A manipulative person understands emotions deeply, not because they empathize with them, but because they know how to use them. They'll play on your insecurities, exploit your fears, and tap into your dreams to get what they want. If you're someone who values kindness, they'll position themselves as someone who needs your help, painting themselves as a victim to gain your sympathy. If you value fairness, they'll twist situations to make you feel like you owe them, like they've been wronged and only you can set it right. They'll use guilt, flattery, or even anger, whichever emotion will serve their purpose in the moment. These individuals are masters of subtlety. Rarely will their manipulation be obvious. Instead, it's woven into everyday interactions, so skillfully that you might not even realize it's happening. They might suggest an idea and make you think it was yours. They might undermine your confidence by making small, cutting remarks disguised as jokes. They might isolate you from others, convincing you that no one else understands you like they do. Each act on its own might seem insignificant, but over time, these small manipulations accumulate until you find yourself doubting your own judgment and decisions. One of the most dangerous aspects of manipulation is how it can make you question reality. A manipulative person will gaslight you, distorting facts and events to make you believe their version of the story. They might insist you said or did something you didn't, or they'll deny things you know to be true. This constant distortion creates confusion, making you reliant on them for clarity and validation. They want you to second guess yourself because a person who doubts their own mind is easier to control. But manipulation isn't always about direct confrontation. Sometimes it's passive, subtle, and even sweet. They'll give you just enough kindness or attention to keep you hooked, to make you believe in their goodness. Then when you're comfortable, they'll use that connection against you. They'll withhold affection to punish you, or they'll give it to you in abundance to reward behavior that benefits them. It's a constant push and pull designed to keep you off balance, never quite sure where you stand. What makes manipulative people so effective is their ability to adapt. They'll study you, learn your weaknesses, and tailor their tactics to exploit them. If you're someone who craves approval, they'll dangle compliments just out of reach, making you work harder to please them. If you're independent and strong-willed, they'll find ways to chip away at your confidence subtly, so you don't even notice it happening. They're not just reacting to situations, they're planning, strategizing, and calculating their moves well in advance. At their core, manipulative people are driven by a desire for control. They want to steer your thoughts, decisions, and actions to align with their agenda. It's not enough for them to influence you. They want to dominate you, to make you a pawn in their game. And they'll stop at nothing to achieve this. They'll use your own values, beliefs, and relationships against you, exploiting the things you hold dear to achieve their goals. Perhaps the most insidious part of manipulation is how it can make you feel complicit. A manipulative person will often create scenarios where you feel like you've made the choices, that you've acted of your own free will. In reality, they've been pulling the strings all along, guiding you toward the outcome they wanted. And when things go wrong, they'll shift the blame onto you, making you feel responsible for their actions. It's a cycle of control, guilt, and confusion, one that's incredibly difficult to break free from. A manipulative person doesn't just seek to control your actions, they want to control how you see yourself, how you perceive the world around you. They'll erode your sense of self, your confidence, and your independence until you're left questioning everything. That's their power. That's their weapon. They lack empathy and compassion. This is one of the most defining traits of an evil person, and it often manifests in subtle but deeply telling ways. When you are in pain, when you are struggling, they remain unmoved. They might offer words that seem kind on the surface, but there's no genuine concern behind them. They might ask how you're doing, but they don't truly care about the answer. Their responses are shallow, rehearsed, and devoid of real feeling. An empathetic person feels the emotions of others, connects with their struggles, and finds ways to support them. But a person who lacks empathy sees emotions as tools, as something to be used or ignored depending on what suits their agenda. They don't feel what you feel. They don't see your pain as significant unless it directly impacts them. Your happiness, your sadness, your fears, these are just pieces of information to them, data points they can exploit if necessary. When faced with the suffering of others, these individuals are indifferent. Someone might share a deeply personal story, something raw and vulnerable, and instead of responding with understanding, they may dismiss it or even mock it. They might say things like, "Why are you so sensitive?" or "That's not a big deal," minimizing someone's feelings to make themselves feel superior. Their lack of compassion creates a void in their interactions with others, a coldness that's difficult to ignore once you notice it. This absence of empathy also extends to their actions. They can hurt others without a second thought because they don't see their actions as harmful. They don't consider the emotional weight of their choices on the people around them. Whether it's betraying someone's trust, lying to gain an advantage, or intentionally causing harm, they do it without remorse. It's not that they're unaware of the consequences, they simply don't care. One of the most telling signs of their lack of empathy is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. When confronted with the harm they've caused, they often deflect, blame others, or deny any wrongdoing. They'll say things like, "You're overreacting," or "That's not how I meant it," refusing to acknowledge the pain they've inflicted. This refusal to accept accountability shows just how disconnected they are from the emotional realities of others. In relationships, this lack of empathy can be devastating. They might exploit your vulnerabilities, knowing exactly where to strike to hurt you the most. When you're at your lowest, instead of offering support, they might use your struggles against you. They'll remind you of your failures, highlight your flaws, and make you feel even smaller. Their inability to connect with your emotions leaves you feeling isolated, as though you're navigating the relationship entirely on your own. In group settings, their lack of empathy often creates tension and division. They'll say or do things that create conflict, but they won't care about the emotional fallout. If someone is upset, they won't try to resolve the situation. Instead, they'll watch from the sidelines, indifferent to the hurt they've caused. Or worse, they might even find satisfaction in the chaos they've created, knowing it gives them a sense of power or control. A person without empathy struggles to see the humanity in others. They don't view people as individuals with feelings, dreams, and struggles. Instead, they see them as objects, as means to an end. This dehumanizing perspective allows them to act in ways that most people couldn't imagine. They'll manipulate, deceive, and betray without hesitation because to them, it's just another move in the game they're playing. Their indifference to the emotions of others doesn't always show immediately. In the beginning, they might seem charming, kind, or even generous. But over time, the cracks begin to show. You'll notice how they react or fail to react in moments that require empathy. When someone else is in pain, they'll shift the conversation back to themselves or dismiss it entirely. When they're confronted with the impact of their actions, They'll avoid the topic, laugh it off, or turn the blame around. This lack of empathy is not just an absence, it's a void that affects everything they do. It colors their interactions, their decisions, and their relationships. It's a fundamental inability to connect with others on a human level, to see beyond their own needs and desires. It leaves them disconnected, not just from the emotions of others, but from the very essence of what it means to be human. Chaos follows them everywhere. It's not a coincidence, and it's not bad luck. For these individuals, chaos is both a consequence of their actions and often a deliberate strategy. They have an uncanny ability to disrupt peace and harmony, whether in relationships, workplaces, or communities. Wherever they go, conflict seems to follow. And while they may act innocent, they are usually the root cause of the turmoil. This chaos often starts small, with subtle disruptions that may not seem significant at first. They might spread rumors, plant seeds of doubt, or pit people against each other. They know exactly how to push the right buttons to create tension and discord. They're masters at identifying vulnerabilities in relationships and exploiting them. A small comment here, a sly insinuation there, and suddenly people are questioning each other's intentions. In personal relationships, their presence often leads to constant drama. They might create problems out of nowhere, turning minor issues into major conflicts. They might play the victim, forcing others to cater to their needs and causing resentment among those around them. They thrive in an atmosphere of emotional instability because it allows them to maintain control. When everyone else is focused on managing the chaos, they remain in the center, quietly pulling the strings. In workplaces, these individuals are often the source of gossip, tension, and division. They'll create rivalries among co-workers, spread misinformation, or undermine authority figures. Their actions disrupt team dynamics, lower morale, and create an environment of distrust. They may position themselves as indispensable, solving problems they quietly created in the first place, all while making others look incompetent or untrustworthy. One of the most insidious aspects of their chaotic nature is how they deflect blame. When confronted about the disruption they've caused, they'll deny responsibility or shift the focus onto someone else. They might accuse others of overreacting or suggest that the conflict existed long before they arrived. This ability to evade accountability allows them to continue their destructive behavior unchecked, leaving others to pick up the pieces. Their chaos isn't always loud or overt. Sometimes it's subtle, almost invisible, until the damage is already done. They might create confusion by giving conflicting information or by making promises they never intend to keep. They might subtly undermine trust in relationships, leaving people unsure of whom to believe. This quiet chaos can be even more damaging because it's harder to recognize and address. At their core, these individuals often enjoy the disruption they cause. They feed off the emotional reactions of others, finding satisfaction in the arguments, tears, and stress they provoke. This isn't just a byproduct of their behavior, it's often a goal. The more chaotic the environment, the more they feel in control. They become the calm in the storm, the one person who seems unaffected, all while quietly stoking the flames. Their ability to create chaos is often paired with a talent for manipulation. They'll use the conflicts they've caused to their advantage, positioning themselves as problem solvers or as victims. They might offer solutions that only deepen the divide, or they might play both sides of a conflict, ensuring that no resolution is possible. This keeps others focused on the immediate problem while they continue to work toward their own agenda. The chaos they bring often leaves lasting damage. Relationships are fractured, trust is eroded, and peace feels like an impossible goal. People around them may feel exhausted, drained, and constantly on edge, never knowing when the next wave of disruption will come. Over time, this constant state of tension can have a profound impact on mental and emotional well-being, leaving others feeling powerless and defeated. It's important to note that the chaos isn't always intentional. In some cases, these individuals are simply unable to function in stable environments. They may thrive on conflict because it distracts from their own insecurities or unresolved issues. However, intentional or not, the result is the same, a trail of discord and dysfunction that affects everyone in their orbit. Their presence often feels like a storm, unpredictable, destructive, and relentless. They leave people questioning their own actions, doubting their own instincts, and struggling to find stability. Whether by design or by nature, they disrupt every space they enter, ensuring that peace is always just out of reach. They crave power and control over others. This need drives their actions and shapes their interactions, often in ways that are subtle at first, but become increasingly evident over time. Power for them isn't just about authority or influence, it's about domination. It's about having the ability to dictate how others think, feel, and act, ensuring that everything revolves around their desires and needs. This craving is insatiable, and it often leads them to use any means necessary to achieve their goals. One way they assert control is through manipulation. They study people, learning their strengths, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities, and then use that knowledge to steer situations in their favor. They'll exploit emotions like guilt, fear, or love to get what they want. They might play the victim to gain sympathy, or they might use intimidation to silence opposition. Whatever the method, the goal is always the same: to maintain the upper hand. In relationships, this need for power often manifests as an imbalance. They might dominate conversations, make all the decisions, or dismiss the opinions and feelings of others. They create an environment where their word is final, and dissent is either punished or ignored. Over time, this control can erode the confidence and autonomy of those around them, leaving people feeling trapped and powerless. Their methods are not always overt. Sometimes they use subtler forms of control, such as withholding affection or approval, to manipulate behavior. They might give just enough validation to keep someone invested, only to withdraw it as a form of punishment. This creates a dynamic where people feel they must constantly earn their approval, leaving them emotionally dependent and easier to control. In group settings, their craving for power often leads to division and conflict. They may position themselves as the leader, even when it's not their role, or they might undermine the authority of others to elevate their own status. They'll create alliances, spread misinformation, or manipulate group dynamics to ensure that they remain at the center of attention. Their actions are designed to keep others off balance, making it easier for them to maintain control. Another hallmark of their behavior is their refusal to accept accountability. Admitting fault or taking responsibility would mean relinquishing control, and that's something they're unwilling to do. Instead, they'll deflect blame onto others, deny any wrongdoing, or twist the narrative to make themselves appear as the victim. This not only shields them from consequences, but also reinforces their dominance, as others are left questioning their own actions and perceptions. Their thirst for power often extends to controlling how others see them. They carefully curate their image, presenting themselves in a way that commands respect, admiration, or fear. They might project an air of confidence, charm, or authority, masking their true intentions beneath a polished exterior. This facade makes it easier for them to manipulate and control others, as people are less likely to question someone they perceive as strong or capable. Their desire for control isn't limited to individuals, it often extends to situations and environments. They feel compelled to dictate the terms of every interaction, ensuring that everything aligns with their preferences and agenda. They might insist on having the final say in decisions, even those that don't directly affect them. They may also create rules or expectations that others must follow, reinforcing their position of power. While their actions may seem calculated, this craving for power often stems from deep insecurity. They fear losing control because it would expose their vulnerabilities and leave them feeling powerless. To avoid this, they cling to control with an iron grip, using others as pawns in their quest to maintain their dominance. This insecurity drives them to seek more power, creating a cycle that's difficult to break. Over time, their need for control can become all-consuming, affecting every aspect of their lives and the lives of those around them. They prioritize their own desires above all else, disregarding the needs and feelings of others. Their relationships become transactional, their interactions become manipulative, and their environments become oppressive. Those who cross their path often find themselves caught in a web of control, struggling to regain their autonomy and peace. Their charm is a mask hiding true intentions. At first glance, they seem captivating, charismatic, and approachable, drawing people in with an ease that feels almost natural. They know how to say the right things, how to carry themselves, and how to make others feel special in their presence. But this charm isn't genuine, it's a calculated facade, a carefully crafted tool they use to disarm others and gain their trust. Beneath it lies manipulation, deceit, and a much darker agenda. When they meet someone, their first move is often to establish rapport. They'll flatter, laugh at jokes, and show an uncanny interest in the other person's life. It feels genuine, like they truly care. But it's all part of their strategy. They're studying, gathering information, and determining how best to position themselves. They listen not out of empathy, but to identify vulnerabilities they can exploit later. Their charm allows them to blend in, to mask their true nature and intentions. People naturally gravitate toward them, assuming the best because of their outward demeanor. They know how to project confidence, making others believe they are trustworthy and reliable. They'll often take on roles of leadership or positions of influence where their charm can be most effective. In these roles, they use their likability to manipulate, ensuring that any ulterior motives go unnoticed. This charm isn't limited to their words, it extends to their actions and body language. They might use warm smiles, light touches, or prolonged eye contact to create a sense of intimacy and connection. They know how to make people feel seen and understood, creating a false sense of security. These gestures feel genuine in the moment, but they are designed to lower defenses, making it easier for them to manipulate others later. In relationships, their charm can be intoxicating. They often come across as ideal partners, attentive and affectionate, saying and doing all the right things. They may shower their partner with compliments, gifts, and acts of kindness, creating a whirlwind romance that feels almost too good to be true. And that's because it is. This charm is a means to an end, a way to gain control or to hide their true nature until they've secured the other person's trust. Their charm also serves as a shield against suspicion. When conflicts arise or when their actions are questioned, they use their charisma to deflect criticism. They might apologize with such sincerity that it's impossible to stay angry, or they might shift the focus onto someone else, making it seem like the issue isn't their fault. Their charm allows them to manipulate the narrative, ensuring that others see them as the victim or the hero, never the villain. In group settings, their charm can be even more dangerous. They know how to command attention, how to make everyone feel included, and how to position themselves as the center of the group. This makes it easier for them to manipulate dynamics, pitting people against each other or steering decisions in their favor. Their likability makes it hard for others to see through their actions, as people are reluctant to question someone they admire or trust. What's particularly insidious about their charm is how it masks their true intentions. They can cause harm, create chaos, or manipulate others, all while maintaining an outward appearance of kindness and sincerity. This makes it incredibly difficult for others to recognize their true nature. Even when their actions hurt others, their charm often allows them to escape accountability, as people are more likely to forgive or excuse their behavior. Their charm is also a tool for control. By making others feel special, valued, or even dependent, they ensure loyalty and compliance. People become reluctant to challenge them, fearing the loss of that connection. Over time, this creates a dynamic where others are willing to overlook red flags or to justify harmful behavior, all because of the hold their charm has over them. This calculated charm is not a sign of goodness or authenticity. It's a mask, a means of hiding their true selves and achieving their goals. The longer it goes unchecked, the more damage it can cause as people become entangled in their web of manipulation, unable to see the person behind the facade.